Okay, I think we're live here. I'm trying to um, run, or I'm trying to run and record two different um, recording mediums at once, just to make sure, just in case YouTube decides they want to, take me down. Excuse me, that I don't lose all of my content like they did before. When I did a live broadcast, it was only being recorded on their platform. So I was just out of luck because they took it. Anyway, hi Gina. How you doing? Good to see you. Although I can't see you, but you know what I mean. I've got this weird cough. Don't go get a mask. Everything's fine. Ever since I had COVID a couple of years ago, I this weird cough has just hung on. So I'm not sick. I don't have fever or anything. I just got this weird cough. So every now and then you might see me sip on some tea or something. There's this tea called Mullein tea that is good for respiratory. So sometimes I might, take a few sips of that. It stops me from coughing. It relaxes whatever goes on in your chest. So anyway, and I have a cough drop. So, hi, Carol. So did you guys get the notice? Because I've been feeling for the last, I don't know, a couple of days, like I need to do a live broadcast. I need to check on everybody, make sure everybody's doing okay, and see if we could help each other out. I've got some important things I wanted to talk about and some ideas that I wanted to share just to try to help other people because I really feel like we should be trying to do that. Um, you know, hi Bernice, you missed me. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I miss doing live. Let me tell you guys, I've been busy. We've been busy trying to take care of our family. Now, anybody who knows me, now I wasn't on YouTube 10 years ago, okay, but about, let me see, 14, I would say about 12 years ago now, I started talking to my husband about things that I was sensing, about the world and the country and different things. And I said, this was 12 years ago. And I'm late to the party, okay? There are other people that felt like this 20 years ago. Me, it was about 10, 12 years ago. I started feeling like, you know what? Um, we better start doing some things because things just feel weird in the background, in regard to the nation, the direction that the nation seemed like it was going in, and there was this tug of war about which way it should go. And then as time went on, it seemed like you it seemed like there were two different countries occupying the same landmass in the United States, two different countries. And the reason I say that is because there were two completely different visions about what the country should look like and how the country should move forward. You had a whole segment of society that felt like everything should be free and everybody should be able to come and there shouldn't be any restrictions on anyone at any time for any reason. And then you had the other part of the country that felt like, well, wait a minute, who's going to pay for all that? You can't just open up to the entire world. I mean, you don't even do that in your own private home. So, how could a country sustain itself by doing something like that? So then the name calling started. Well, you're racist, or you're homophobic, or you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, if you don't want to do it my way. And then there were the other side of the situation that was saying, well, you're stupid if you want to do it that way because the country will cease to exist if you do it that way. And the other side was saying, well, that's the whole idea. We don't think there should be any nations. We think there should be one world government. So, um, so you have two different visions for the same nation occupying the same landmass, and it has caused a awful, awful problem. Now, right now, I would really like to talk to the people that voted for this, because if your reason for voting was because you just couldn't handle a tweet, how are you handling this? Eh? Was it worth it? You see what I'm saying? So some things are worth just ignoring the stupidity of it and getting on with life. So here we are. I'm gonna tell you right now, I had no hand in what is going on right now. My conscience is clear. I was not so caught up in my emotions that I could not get past somebody else expressing themselves, no matter how idiotic it may seem to me. Right? I could get past that. But now we all are in this mess all the way around the world. I mean, there ain't a country that exists that this is not happening to. Okay? You know why? Because some people just couldn't handle a tweet. Well, congratulations. Now you got mothers who cannot feed their babies because there are people who felt like everybody and anybody who wanted to have something from us should be able to get it with no cost to them. Well, it costs somebody to manufacture all that stuff. It costs somebody to take it to the stores. It costs somebody to put it on the shelves. It costs the truckers to get it to the stores. There's that. Well, so now they're running out of diesel. You know why? Because somebody decided way up at the top of the food chain that they either were not going to use our oil or our gas, but they were going to shut down the ability for it to be used. And now other countries are like, well, we ain't giving you ours. So, you know why? Well, because we have to take care of our citizens. So now, here we were, here we were with the greatest economy that this nation has ever seen, especially in my lifetime, and I've been around a while. The greatest job ratings, especially in the Black community, that this nation has ever seen. Um, Black historical colleges no longer had to go uh, to the big house with their hand out, begging for money every year to stay open. Um, you could actually talk freely and express your opinion. And in 1 year, how y'all liking this? You liking it? Yeah. See, so whoever the fool was that decided they just were not mature enough to accept somebody else's difference of opinion is costing you, isn't it? You know why? Because you, or not you, someone you know, was just plain dumb. You fell for the okie doke. You fell for all the stuff that was coming across the legacy media outlets. You fell for all of it. So here we are. Here we are. So what I said all that for? This is a good place to, move on if you're gonna get mad. Because I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't care if you get mad. So here we are. So 12 years ago, um, I'm not gonna say I saw all of the details about what's happening right now. But I knew it was going to happen, and my husband can confirm that because I told him, and I told other people. I said something is off. I said there are backdoor deals being done. Things are happening in the background um, that the general public is not privy to, and um, it's going to affect us in the long run. And we better start doing what we can to um, try to head some of this off at the pass. So I started teaching myself to do things. Now I'm a city girl, right? Um, I wasn't taught. I didn't come up in a household where I saw my mother or my grandmother um, pressure canning food or sewing. Uh, being like pioneer women. I didn't grow up with that, so I had to teach myself how to do these things. And after wrestling for about 2 years with what I was feeling and sensing and all that, I started going on the internet and I was watching a lot of videos about some of this stuff. Ugh, I'm in my RV and my chair is weird. Anyway, so I started thinking about how to do this stuff and teaching myself how do I preserve food? How do I do this? How do I, just how do you do these things to try to protect your family or to make sure that if a time came where something wasn't available, do I have an alternate? Do I do I do I have an alternate way to accomplish the same thing without it causing too much pain or stress on my family? So I started thinking about manual things. We're accustomed to um, electronics, and sad to say, a lot of our kids today, which would in my age would be my grandchildren, great grandchildren, they don't know how to do anything except except use a phone and turn on a computer. It's sad. It is really sad. I remember coming up where I learned. Hi, Lou. I learned, well, when I was in school, they taught us home ec, right? Does anybody remember home economics? Now, they ain't teach you a whole lot, but at least they exposed you to how to cook. I remember the very first thing in home ec that they taught us was how to make cookies, peanut butter cookies. I absolutely hate peanut butter cookies. I can't stand the smell of hot peanut butter. Anyway, that was nasty. And then they taught us how to make uh what was it? Eggplant parmesan. I don't like that either. I like eggplant, but not that stuff. And then what else did we learn? Oh, we had to learn how to sew. And the sewing machine. Now let me tell you, the sewing machines that they have today, yeah, no. It's got bells and whistles and it look like a spaceship and it walks your dog and combs your hair and does all this. I can't. I just can't. But I know how to sew a pattern together, with the pins, put it together. I know how to use the little pedal thing, but good luck finding a machine like that, right? And I'm all for progress. I don't have a problem with progress. Um, but progress that starts erasing history is dangerous. Or progress, so called, that starts moving you in a direction where you start forgetting how to do basic things is dangerous. So now we have a whole generation of kids that don't know how to do anything. I'm telling you, brain dead. They can't sew. They don't know how to preserve food. They don't know how to do anything. And like I said, I taught myself. I did not come, I'm a city girl. I didn't come up with that. Now, my grandmother, now that I know what a pressure canner looks like, she had one, uh, but I never saw it in use. I just remember being a little girl and going past her. She had this shelf in the kitchen. This thing sat up way up high on the shelf, and I didn't know what it was. It just looked like, those were the days when the Frankenstein movies was out, right? And they had the bolts that went in his neck and all this. And I think now, looking back on what she had up there on her shelf, it was an All American because they cranked down, right? Looked like the bolts in Frankenstein's neck. I just remember being just completely freaked out every time I had to go through the kitchen to go down into the basement. I had to go past that shelf. I swore that thing was going to eat me, whatever it was. I must have watched too many horror movies or something, because I just knew that thing that grandma had was going to eat me. If I didn't hurry up and get past it, that pot looked big enough to put me in it. Anyway, so I never saw her use it. I didn't know it was for. I had all these wild imaginations about that thing, just, me being in that. And oh, Lordy. But guess what? Here I was in my 50s and taught myself how to use a pressure canner. Um, you need to have tie hands with Golden Dove. Um, you need to have alternate ways to survive. If you're going to make it through this, you're going to have to be very smart about, number one, how are you using your money? I had a young lady that I've been trying and trying and trying and trying to get her to understand the seriousness of where we are. See, they don't know. You have this whole generation here that even the poorest person in our country was born into wealth when you compare it with other countries, right? If you take the United States the way it used to be and you compare it to other countries, we are in the 1% of the wealthiest people in the world. Well, we were until this last year and a half. so now, so now, here we are in this mess because of a completely different vision about how the country should look and who should be here. And it's causing problems, folks. When our people, sorry about this light glare, it's coming from that. It's coming from that. No, see that right there? Let me see if I can change my, turn my thing just a little bit here. Whoops, nope. Let me go this way. Oh, nope. I'm trying to, okay, let me not move. My husband's trying to put something up over there so that that light thing is not shining on me. Anyway, what was I trying to say? Let me get back to, so the kids today, they don't know how to do anything, folks. I was talking to this young lady forevermore, trying to get her to understand the importance of learning how to do something. Now, even if you don't want to learn how to do it, then you need to prepare. You need to have an alternate way of how you're going to take care of your family and how you're going to weather this storm if you don't want to learn a new skill. So, in other words, if you don't want to learn how to preserve your own food or how to preserve food, then you better be going somewhere and getting some food and putting it away, because there shortly will not be enough. And whatever is left, whatever is not destroyed because of a lack of fuel to get the stores, to get the food to the stores, is being shipped out to other countries to help them. Is being given to people who came into this country under less than legal circumstances. Okay, all in the name of we're merciful and we're not going to turn anyone away, but you're turning your own citizens away. You're not taking care of your own citizens, and let me tell you, it's by design. Uh, people that are at the top of the food chain in our country right now hate you. They hate you. It's like living with an abused spouse who keeps telling you how important you are to them, how much they love you, while they enslave you, while they tell you you can't go outside, while they control everything you do, while they take your money, they take food away from you, they take away your ability to speak, they tell you what you can think, and if you want to do anything other than that, then they're going to punish you. Now, doesn't that sound like abuse? Does it matter whether it's on a domestic level or whether it's on a national level? Does it matter? Is it abuse? Let that hit you, because this is where we're at. And very, very, very few people voted for this. Very few. Okay. The weirdos of the world voted for it. But this was not a landslide thing. Most of America already knew the history and the background of the powers that be. We've been living long enough to know that some people are just liars, and they always will be, always have been for their entire political career. So we knew better. Um, but then you have that other group who just couldn't handle a tweet. They just couldn't handle. They could not handle that somebody else had the right to speak their mind, no matter how stupid it may have sounded. They couldn't handle it, and they don't care how stupid they sound. They want to be heard, but they don't want to hear nobody else sound stupid. So here we are. All right, this young lady that I've been trying to work with forevermore to get her to understand the importance of putting things away for her family. Now, here's the situation, and I understand. I get it. Here's the situation. Situation is this. They finally don't have any kids at home. Finally, the nest is empty. They have a decent paying job. They're working on paying off their school loans or whatever. No dependents, can come and go as they please, can work overtime if they want to, don't have to worry about a babysitter or anything like that. So they just want to have fun. They just want to go and live their life and have fun. Okay, I'm telling you, do both. Okay, do both. Prepare for hard times. Go on, have your fun, but prepare for hard times. When you go to the store and you go to pick up, I don't know, you know, 3 jars of spaghetti sauce, get 4, right? When you go to pick up 2 boxes of spaghetti, get 3. Put the other one aside. What's so hard about that? You don't have any dependents. You don't have anybody at home. You can go home whenever you want to. You can stay out whenever you want to. You have nobody except you. And you're still not doing anything to weather the storm that you know is brewing around you. Um, you're going to get your hair done. You're going to get your nails done. So after a while, I got tired of talking to them and just watching the blatant apathy of what is literally going on around them in their own city. And they did not want to do anything about it. What do you do with people like that? Well, what you tell them is, listen, I have tried for 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, to tell you that this was coming. And I have tried to help you get prepared for it so it would not be such a devastating blow to you or your family, who are going to be looking to you when the crap hits the fan, okay? Because your mom, they're going to be looking to you. They're in their head, they're thinking, oh, all my stuff is at your house. That's what they're thinking, right? But here's the deal. If you haven't done anything, not even for yourself, then whatever you have there that you would normally have is going to get sucked up like it went up in a tornado. If your kids show up at your door and they haven't done anything, I'm telling you, when they come, they ain't coming bearing gifts. They're coming needy. They're coming because they don't have anything. They're coming because it was more important to them to get their nails done, get their hair done. You know what I told this young lady? You better, I hope you like the taste of that acrylic. You better go chew on your nails, okay? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me because you didn't bring a thing over here and you scoffed when I told you you needed to get prepared for this. And you had no reason not to. And so, this might sound hard to some people. I'm going to tell you something. If you think that you're going to be able to take care of every Tom, Dick, and Harry that shows up at your door because you got a warm, gushy heart, you better wake up. Okay? Because, first of all, people that are desperate do desperate things. If they show up at your door, they're coming in a very desperate state. Okay? They haven't done anything. Now, let me say this. There are people who can't do anything. They're on a very limited income. And when they could have, they were so busy hating on a tweet till that's all they were focused on. And that's all they were supposed to be focusing on. Okay. They weren't supposed to be focusing on what was going on in the background. They were supposed to be focusing on how much they hated that tweet. And so here they are, caught, if you will, with their pants down. Now they can't do anything. Now they're on this fixed income and the price of everything has gone so high by 30% or more on just about every product there is that now they can't. Now they see and now they can't. So I gave people the example of Noah for my Christian friends on here. Let's just take Noah. Can you imagine the poor guy? Can you imagine? 120 years. He's trying to tell people it's about to suck real bad, y'all. he's trying to tell them. He's trying to tell them it's going to rain. It's going to rain. Meanwhile, he's still building and he's still hammering away and his family is helping him and he is getting prepared for what is coming. Let me tell you, God does not warn his people to prepare for something as a joke. Okay? If he tells you to prepare, it's because something's coming that he's not going to stop. But you can weather it. You can get through it if you listen to what he tells you to do. And don't stumble over who the messenger is. Some things are just common sense. When you see the price of things going up, and you know you're on a limited income, you get what you can get while you can afford to get it, as much as you can get. That's what you do. Now, you have these super spiritual, over religious, idiotic folks who want to tell you that you're hoarding. Guess what? Those will be the ones that show up at your door because they ain't got nothing, because they was going to do it all by faith. Okay? Well, by faith, Noah built that ark. Okay? They had never ever seen rain. Ever. It had never rained on the face of the earth. So here's this guy looking like a nutcase, telling the whole world, excuse me, as it was at that time, it's going to rain. They're like, what's rain? What's he talking about? I don't know. So let's just go back and keep partying and doing whatever we want to do, going wherever we want to go, getting our hair done, getting our nails done. Let's just, I'm paraphrasing, but you get what I'm saying. 120 years, he was warning people that something was coming that they in their lifetime had never seen. Do you hear me? Now, this is not even. Let me tell you what they're trying to do. I'm not trying to scare anybody. You better look around you and see what's happening, okay? God has people that are speaking the truth about this, and people are just blowing them off, saying, oh, you're just negative. Oh, you don't have faith. Oh, you know, oh, go somewhere and sit down. Okay, you need to go on a fast so that you can actually hear what God is saying. But anyway, here's the deal. 120 years, this poor man was trying his best to tell people it's going to rain. Something you've never seen in your lifetime is coming to you, and you need to prepare for this. Now, I don't know how many people were alive on the planet at that time, but I know only 8 souls were saved. I know only 8 people made it to safety. I know that. And so when time was up and God shut the door, that was it, folks. That was it. There was no, oh, I see it now. Oh, I got it now. Oh, I understand now. No, guess what? They perished. You know why? Because they didn't listen. They did not listen to the warnings that were coming. Nobody's trying to scare you. I don't have, ain't no, listen, ain't nothing in it for me. Ain't nobody paying me to scare you. Okay. I have a life. I have stuff to do. I'm busy. And so there's nothing in it for me. Um, I'm not an employee of YouTube. I don't get thousands of dollars a month from YouTube to make videos or whatever. I'm on here because I choose to be on here. It ain't because they paying me to be on here. So there you go. It ain't nothing in it for me to try to help other people to understand the seriousness of where we are. When a government is willing to starve its own people, you better understand that they absolutely hate you. Do you understand that? Nobody in this government is coming to help you. They're not. They've already shown you that. Oh, you got a baby that needs formula? Well, we got to give it to the people who came in the way that they wasn't supposed to. And we got to send it over to some other country. We ain't got time for you. They are absolutely ignoring you. They're ignoring you. They're ignoring the farmers. They're ignoring the fact that some of these shelves are starting to turn up empty. So let me tell you something. It's not too late to do something. Even if you have to, right now, dollar stores are your friend. Okay, right now, they're your friend. The canned goods that they have at dollar stores is the same stuff they have in the big box stores. Okay, so same stuff, different label. Go get it. You better go get it. Anyway, y'all mad yet? I don't care yet. So there you go. Um, it's hard, for me to watch people do this, knowing how the scriptures uh, have examples of this happening. You know. Now let me tell you about being in times of and seeing things that we've never seen in our lifetime. The people of Noah's day, they had never seen any of that, so they didn't believe it. The people of my generation, we have not lived through a Great Depression. Our grandparents did, but I did not. I did not come up. I used to hear my uncle say, "Well, if we were poor, we didn't know it." you know, um, if I never shared a bed with anyone. I always had my own bed. Always had my own space. Not everybody came up like that, right? So I don't know, call it black privilege, whatever. Um, I call it black privilege. My mother worked hard. Uh, I didn't have holes in my clothes, or I just didn't come up like that. It doesn't mean I don't understand it, because when I got on my own, let me tell you, it was not a picnic. I got to appreciate. I don't know how mom did it, but hey, I was determined I was going to do it. Um, and I did. I sure did. I did it. And I ain't have to do nothing illegal or illicit to make it either. But thank God, by the grace of God, I was able to make it. So, raised my family and went on about my business. Uh, but these kids today, they don't have any skills. Everything they know is electronic, and all of the electronics that they are engaged in manipulate their emotions and keep them distracted to where they're not even able to learn a new skill. It's very sad. And so, the government looks at them as useless eaters. They can be slaves, they can be workers, or they can just be dead. They don't care. They don't care. They do not care, or they would not be shipping money and food to other nations when our nation is in a crisis. Do you hear me? I hope you didn't vote for it, because if you voted for this, well, congratulations. Happy starving. So now, all right. So let me say this. It's not too late to get some things done. You need to, while we have internet, while we still have internet and our grid hasn't been hit yet, you need to get as much information as you can, and you need to get it in book form, okay? In printed form. Get books. I know it's not, the thing today. I ain't talking about your Kindle, which won't work if our grid ever gets hit. It ain't gonna work, folks. If the grid gets hit, there ain't no electronics. Forget it. Your coffee maker ain't gonna work. So you better get a hand grinder. And this is what I mean about alternate things. Find an alternate way to prepare your food. If you are in an apartment that's all electric, I mean, you don't even have to be in a national crisis for this to happen. If you're in an apartment that's all electric, say, I don't know, there's a big old storm and the power goes out. Well, there's that food in the freezer that's going to go bad if what? If you don't know how to save it by pressure canning it and getting it on a shelf. I had our freezer went out 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when all the craziness started, we had been out of town for a few days. And when we got back to the house, I went in the freezer. I don't know if I went in there to take out something for dinner for the next day or whatever. And I noticed that all of the food on the top was very, very cold, but it wasn't frozen. I'm thinking, oh man, it must be too much food in here, right? And then I looked down and realized that the light, excuse me, that the light, the power light, wasn't on. Now I'm like, uh-oh. Oh boy, we got a problem. So now, what was the saving grace? The saving grace was I had taught myself the year before or 2 years before how to preserve food by pressure canning. Okay? So what did I do? Well, I took all the food that was on top that was already thawed out and I pressure canned it. And what was underneath that, I put it in the refrigerator so it goes to slow thaw, and I could pressure can that the next day. Now, a strange thing that happened was the week prior to that. My husband and we were driving into town, and I said, I feel like I need to get some canning jars. Now, I didn't know why. I needed to get canning jars. I needed to get some canning jars. So we went to this farm and ranch store, and they had some. And he says, well, how many do you want? And I said, well, get 2 cases of this and get 2 cases of that and 1 case of this and this and this. So he did. So we ended up going home with all these jars. And then the next week, when we go into town, the freezer's out, right? I'm telling you, God will prepare you or show you how to prepare for things that you don't even know is coming if you listen. Okay? You have to listen. You can't be stuck in this thing of la, la, la. You don't want to hear it because it's bad news or it's negative or it's whatever, whatever, whatever. You better listen. It doesn't have to be as negative if you're willing to listen. Okay? This is not funny, folks. What's happening right here? They are showing you how much they absolutely despise you and your idea of freedom and your idea of liberty. They absolutely hate you. They have a completely different vision, and you're not part of it. Okay? Unless you want to be obedient to their system. So here's the deal. Learn alternate ways of taking care of yourself. Um, what foods will keep long term? What foods won't? How does it have to be stored? How does it have to be packaged up? Does it need to be taken out of the package that it's in? Now, if you look through the videos on this channel and my other channel, the Christopats, right here on YouTube, you will see some of the things that we have been doing and I've been trying to teach people and show them. I've had classes that I've done with people on Skype. I had these women put their laptops in their kitchen, turn them on, and let me see what they're doing. And I did this in a group. It was a group of us on Skype, and I'm trying to show them how to preserve meat and how to preserve vegetables. Do this, and these people, they're in different places. Like I'm talking about Texas, Oklahoma. They're in different states. And I'm saying, put your laptop on your kitchen table or somewhere in your kitchen where I can see what you're doing and I can walk you through it step by step so that if your freezer ever goes out, you don't lose your food. If your electricity goes out, you don't lose your food. Now, let me get back to that. If your electricity goes out and your apartment is all electric and you got food that you have to cook it, or you don't have a pressure canner, or what, you got to do something with this food. Okay, do you have a friend that you can borrow space in their freezer? Do you have uh, is there some place where you can run and get ice? um, is there what other way can you do you have propane and a propane stove where you can still cook your food? Do you have a grill or an area where you can grill your food and cook it? Or do you have a dehydrator? Do you have an alternate way? Now, some of those things aren't going to be possible if you don't have electric, right? This is why you prepare while you have the means to do it. You don't wait till a crisis hits and then try to get ready for it. You get what I'm saying? That it's a little bit late. If you try, it's a little bit late if you're trying to do it then. So, anyway, medicines. Now, I said this a while ago that most of our medicine was coming from China and India. And I said, if we fall out with those countries, they're going to cut us off. And people that um, need life saving medications are going to be in a world of hurt. They're not going to make it because they can't get it. So there are books out there that specialize in edible herbs and things like that are medicinal. Um, I started teaching myself how to make my own alternative medications. Um, Things for blood pressure, things for heart rhythm, things for that, using natural herbs, organic natural herbs. I taught myself by looking online, by consulting with 3 or 4 different holistic doctors of how to make certain tinctures and extracts and things like that. In the event these countries fighting between themselves, trying to make us a pawn in their mess, decided one of the weapons that they were going to use, they were going to weaponize medication and try to hurt the people of another country. You don't have to go down tubes like that just because they're being stupid. Okay. You can learn how to make your own stuff, but you got to put the time in, do the research, look online while you still have the ability to get online, right? Can you turn that light on over there, please? So that you can do this stuff. That light, yes, thank you. So that you can do this stuff while you still have the means to get it done. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you guys. Really, I am, because there's a lot of people that are in really bad shape right now, and they're looking back thinking they wish they had a listened when I first started saying this stuff 10 years ago. So, and I get it. Okay, 10 years ago, we were not where we are now, but here we are. Elections have consequences. Okay. So, anyway, I did a couple of videos about making my own medication. I did a video showing you guys, you need to look through the channel, okay? I did a video showing you guys how to preserve flour long term, how to preserve wheat, berries, and stuff like this, which stays uh, fresh longer than actual ground flour. We bought a lot of people have an electric mill, but like I said, what happens if they hit the grid as part of their reset, and you don't have electricity? And this is not a storm situation where the electric company is going to come out and you're going to have power again in 2 or 3 days. This is, you may not have power for 6 or 7, 8, 9 months. Okay. Do you have a hand grinder where you can grind your own flour because you have your own wheat berries, and you can still make bread, or you can still, grind coffee, whatever. Whatever it is that you do in your life, think of an alternate way to accomplish that same thing. If you're in a house, you're at an advantage, especially if you have a backyard, because you can do things. You can grow some stuff. You can grow your own food. Now, let me tell you something. Just because you have a garden doesn't mean you're going to be able to feed yourself endlessly for every day for an indefinite period of time with a backyard garden. Okay, that's not going to get it. That'll supplement what you have, but it's not going to feed you forever, because there's growing seasons. Okay, there's these things called crop failures and all that. So you can do these things called microgreens. Okay, if you don't have a big yard where you can actually grow stuff in, you can get these trays. Look on Amazon. It's called microgreen trays. You can buy a bag of sprouting seeds. You can pour it in there with some good potting soil mix. Look up videos about this. And if you can't grow lettuce and cabbage and stuff like this in your backyard because you don't have enough room, or you're in an apartment, you can put this on a table in front of a sunny window and accomplish the same thing. At least you will still have some decent nutrients going into your body in the middle of this crisis. Okay. So, do you have dry milk? You can get whole dry milk. It doesn't have to be that nasty skim milk, which is like chalk water. It has absolutely no nutritional value. It just looks white, and there you go. You can have skim milk. You don't have to throw away your milk if it appears to be going bad or it's going sour. You know what you do with that? You put a tiny bit of white vinegar in it, you turn it into buttermilk, and you make biscuits. Or you turn it into buttermilk and you make cornbread. Or you turn it into buttermilk and you put it in an ice cube tray and put it in your freezer to preserve it for when you're ready to make buttermilk biscuits or cornbread or pancakes or something like that. Think of alternate ways to preserve what you have, because in the Great Depression, I'm telling you, nothing went to waste.
Powder.
Pardon me?
Powder.
That's what I was just talking to me about. I don't understand what you're saying.
Make it with warm water. Then
Yes. Okay. My husband says he always wants to bomb me when I'm trying to video.
I'm helping.
Yeah, stop helping. Anyway, um, he says when you go to mix your powdered milk, mix it with warm water and then put it in. Yeah, because if you try to mix it with cold water, especially if it's the whole milk, because of the fat that's still in it, it ain't gonna break down. It's just so use warm water, mix it up till it all dissolves and comes back into consistency. Put it in the refrigerator. It's just like it's regular milk. It's just dehydrated. You can do the same thing with eggs. You can water glass your eggs. If you have a backyard, you can check with your city and see if you can have chickens in your backyard. Now, I know if you like me and you was raised in the city, you don't know nothing about chickens. Okay, I do now because I've been keeping chickens for about 5 years now. Um, some people get them for meat. They raise them as meat birds, depending on what breed you get. Others, they don't want to have to slaughter the bird for meat and all that. They just want the eggs, right? If you're in the city limits, you probably cannot have a rooster. And a rooster is the only way that you'll get more chickens without actually buying more chickens. So, because they'll fertilize the eggs. But you can, excuse me, you can preserve your eggs. You can pickle them after you boil them. You hard boil them, you can pickle them, put them in a big jar, put them in a refrigerator. They'll keep for, I don't know, 3, 4 months in a refrigerator. You can freeze them. Now, what I did, my hands have gone wild. Okay, they're crazy. Them some happy birds. I'm telling you, they're kicking out a dozen eggs. I got 12 hens, and they're kicking out a dozen eggs every day. I can't keep up with that. So you know what I do? I take the eggs, the freshest eggs, I put them in a big old bowl, scramble them up, put the seasonings in them. I get one of those muffin tins, those rubbery kind. What is that stuff called? I can't remember. Anyway, I get the muffin tins. I oil the muffin tins. I pour the scrambled eggs into the muffin tins. Put it in the freezer. Let it freeze solid. Pop it out of the muffin tins. Individually wrap them in Saran wrap. Put them in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. That's one way of preserving eggs. Another thing you can do is you can dehydrate your eggs. Now, I don't have a dehydrator, so I don't do that. So I water glass my eggs. I take sterile jars, canning jars. I take pickling lime or food grade lime. It's a white powder, not the stuff you put in the garden. This is food grade. I mix 2 ounces for a quart jar with distilled water, make this white milky substance, and I put the eggs down in there. I can usually get 8 or 9 in a jar. It will keep for a long time. Now, depending on how long you keep them, I've not kept mine longer than a year. I know it sounds gross, but I'm telling you, they're fine. You may occasionally get an egg that's not that good. So, if it looks weird, if it smells weird, don't eat it, right? Just like if you take it out of the refrigerator and it looked weird and smelled weird, you wouldn't eat it, right? Um, but you can keep eggs like that for a very long time. This is what people did when they didn't have refrigeration. Refrigeration is something that we were born into. Not everybody, they had ice boxes where they literally, it was a box that they put ice in, a big chunk of ice. That's what I'm told. I've not seen that. But the guy would come with this big old claw thing and put the big old block of ice in this big old square thing that was called an ice box. The water drained out as the ice melted, and the guy would come back, bring another block of ice, and that's how they kept things cold. And another thing that they did was they would put wax over their food, wax over their cheese, and stuff like that to keep it. So there are ways that you can preserve your food that have absolutely nothing to do with modern convenience. And here we are. Why are we here? Because our grandparents and parents knew how to do this stuff. They didn't have the technology and stuff that we have today. And they made it. Here we are. We're a testament to the fact that they made it. So, anyway, it's time for community, people. It really is. It is time to share what you know with other people to help them. And it doesn't matter whether they're in this country or whether they're in the same state that you're in or whether they're right next door. It doesn't matter where they are, where they live. There's only one race. It's the human race, and we need each other. We need each other in order to survive the craziness that the psychopaths are trying to pull off right now. Because I'm telling you, psychopaths are running the world, and I'm not. I'm chuckling when I say it, but it is not. It's not a laughing matter because psychopaths do not have the mental or emotional capacity to think like you do, or to think like I do. They don't feel things like we do. They don't feel anything at all. If it doesn't benefit them, they don't feel anything about it. They have absolutely no problem taking a human life to achieve their own end. And you can see that by a leaked court decision. They have no problems taking a human life. None. Okay, none. No problems at all. So, anyway, think of alternate ways to cook. If you have electric stove, do you have the capability of maybe setting up a grill, a small grill, a tabletop grill that has a butane fuel source to it or something like that? You know, if it were wintertime and your heat went out, how would you keep yourself warm? I did a video about that. You remember that freaky storm we had 2 years ago? Yeah, remember that? Yeah, okay. So stuff happens. And if you think that the governments of this world do not have the ability to manipulate the weather, you're wrong. You are wrong. Okay? A lot of stuff that you see on television that you've seen in these science so-called fiction movies, yeah, all of it ain't fiction. I used to think, how do people just sit around and just think up this kind of stuff? Well, they hadn't just thought it up. It's stuff that they can actually do, but they show it to you under the label of science fiction so that you don't realize that they really can do this stuff because it's supposed to be a secret. So there you go. I don't care what they do, as long as they don't try to do it to me. Anyway, are y'all bored yet? Lord have mercy. Let me see. So, okay, your money. Now, my husband and I did a video on our other channel called The Christopath, and we talked about there was a run on the banks. Now, because they're printing so much money, the more of something there is, the less value that it has. They have printed more money in this last year and a half than I don't know. I don't even know what the number is now. But our money is worth nothing. It's not worth anything. So, what are you going to do about that? If you've got money in the bank, well, I don't know if you kept up with the news, but you saw what happened in Canada when those truckers decided they wanted their life back, and the government decided, yeah, well, you can't have your life back, and we're going to show you that you can. We're going to take your money. And they literally took every dime out of their bank accounts. I mean, just like that. Just like that. Just took it. Just took it. Just took it. Did they give it back? No. No, they didn't give it back. And they put some of them in jail. Why? Because they didn't share the same vision of wanting to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. See, this is what happens when you live in a democracy. When you live in a democracy, then the mob has the greatest say. When you live in a constitutional republic like what our country is, the United States of America, it's we the people. It's not them, the government, right? And so, but if you don't know that, and you don't know what the Constitution says, and you don't know what rights are possibly, very likely, being trampled on, you won't even know that you're being abused. Now, I started out this video kind of talking about an abusive spouse and how a lot of abusers will tell you You can't come and go as you please. You go out when I tell you to. What does that sound like? Remember that? That wasn't that long ago. No, you can't spend your money there, or no, you can't go here, and no, you can't say that, and no, you can't. And if you have sex, you have to do it like this, and make sure you have your mask on, and complete and utter control is what abusers do. You have no rights when you're being abused. You don't even have the right to live. I'll take your food. I'll send it to another country. See, you better think about what I'm telling you. Don't get so caught up in what the legacy media is saying that you don't actually see what's going on right in front of you, what's being done to you, what's being done to your children. They have literally raped the future generations of their future. That's what has happened, folks. So the question is, how do we get through it? Well, number one, get your head straight and your life straight with God. Number two, get straight with your family members if you can, because some of them knuckleheads ain't gonna listen no matter what you tell them. No matter what you tell them, they're still gonna say that this is the best administration because I couldn't handle the tweet. Hi, Amber. Um. Anyway, so watch your money. I have talked to people about gold and silver and stuff like that. And I'm not no expert on any of that, but I do know this. I do know if you don't have it in your hand, it ain't yours. If it's not under your control or your power, it's not yours. Okay? So I'm not talking about a certificate or an IRA or 401k, all this stuff that's just paper and talk. I'm talking about you better have something in your hand. You better have a tangible asset that can be liquidated. You better rid yourself of as much cash as you possibly can before they say overnight, we're going to a different currency and that dollar ain't worth nothing no more. It's not considered legal tender anymore. You can't use it anymore in the stores or anything like that. They can decide that. And then what happens? I remember when I was stationed in Germany, we used the Dutch mark. And it was not very long after I got out of Europe and got back to the United States that they switched over to the euro. And whoever had Dutch marks lost more than half of its worth in a very short period of time because they changed over from the Dutch mark to the euro. Well, now they want to do it again. Now they want to change over from the dollar to digital currency where they can track whatever you spend wherever you spend it. That's why they want everything to be digital. Because so then what happens? Well, the abuse continues. If you don't do and say what they want you to do and say, they just cut off your bank account. just, they just cut off your bank account. They cut off your ability to buy and sell. And you Christians out there, you better hear that one. You know what that is. Okay? You know what that is. So, anyway, Amber says there was no shortage of baby milk till men started getting pregnant. Yes. Girl, Amber has a way of trying to get me in trouble. Anyway, that's true. You look at how upside down things are. Uh, it's just crazy. Anyway, you know, I remember my mother having to sign a permission slip for me to take sex education in school. That was when the family was in charge of the child. That was when the village was in charge of the child. That was before uh, the public school system took over the mind of your child. Okay, and now you have these children at 8 years old, and I saw a woman. Her baby wasn't even 6 months old yet, and she was so glad that her baby was one of those other sexual somethings or another's. Wasn't even 6 months old. Look like a little girl to me, but yeah, hey, what can I tell you? Anyhow, it's a strange world we're living in, folks, and you're going to have to learn how to navigate through it, or you'll lose your mind trying to get to the end of this. And so, try to help who you can help. People that are listening, but maybe not have the means to get everything done that they need to get done. Get books. You're going to need books, okay? Because, like I said, if the grid goes down for some reason, they want to play around with the electrical systems in our country, your car won't even work, okay? Um, you have to think like a pioneer woman or a pioneer man. What did they do? How did they make it? They didn't have all these modern conveniences. How did they survive? How did they live to be in their 80s and 90s and over 100 years old without refrigeration? And how did they do it? What did they do? Get books. You're going to need them. I'm telling you. Get books on edible plants. Did you know? Do you know what a hosta is? If you look at the video that I just did, you will see that I'm growing hostas. I just found out that they're edible. I just found out that the whole plant, from the leaf to the root, is edible. I love hostas. I think they're beautiful. I didn't know they were edible. I just found that out 2 weeks ago. Guess what? I popped some in some dirt. I thought, hey, if it's too late to plant lettuce, I can plant some hostas. So I did. I haven't tasted it yet, but I hear that when they're first coming up, you stamp them off and they taste like asparagus. Now, I don't know how you feel about asparagus, but I bet you if you're hungry, you'll learn to like it. So, anyway, do what you can do. If you have a freezer, stock your freezer. If you have a pantry, stock your pantry. If you have money in the bank, put it in a tangible asset. Get as much out as you can and put it in a safe place so that they can't seize it because they hate you. They hate me and they don't mind showing you by ignoring you when you're saying there's no baby formula to feed my child, and yet you're hearing and you're seeing pallets and pallets of formula going to out to another country. um, when these people swore an oath to protect you and defend you when they took office, they are liars, they are psychopaths, and they don't care about you. And the sooner you get that way down deep and really believe that, the faster you'll move, understanding that you are responsible for you with the help of God to get through this. All right? Okay. So now that I've wrung your ear off for an hour and 7 minutes, according to this, I'm going to let you guys go. If you have questions about preserving stuff, medicine, things like that, I'm not a doctor. I can only tell you what I've been doing to help myself and my family. And please don't hesitate to write me if you need help preserving something, pressure canning something, and you have questions. Write me uh, at enoughgrace12 at aol.com. It's EN as in Nancy, UFF, like Frank, GRACE, the number 12, at AOL.com. No spaces in between, all lowercase letters. I'll be happy to help you as much as I can. I want to help and reach as many people as I can. We are in very, very serious times. Um, we're on the brink of war with another country that our country is desperately trying to provoke. And because war is money, they make money when they do that. They don't care about how many lives are lost as long as they get their money, as long as they can keep, um, funding their habits and their luxurious lifestyles and telling you to stay home while they're out at fancy restaurants and stuff. Anybody looking back on this now, seeing how they tried to make a fool out of you? Hmm? Can you see it now? All right. So, anyway, love you guys. I'm going to go and think of what else it is I need to do when I get back to the city to help stay ahead of the curve. I hope you guys take what I said very seriously and help who you can. If you haven't started, listen, go to the dollar store. It's cheaper than going to some of these other places. You're going to have to price shop. Some things might be out of your reach. Look for an alternative to what it is you're actually looking for, and get as much as you can. This is not hoarding, this is preparing. You hoard when you get stuff that you have no intention of using and you have no intention of sharing. That's hoarding. Okay, but you're going to use this. Trust me. Believe me when I tell you, you're going to use it because they're plowing fields under. You can see the shortages already all over the country. This is happening all over the world. Okay, now there's a shortage of fertilizer. Now, well, if there's no fertilizer, how are the farmers going to grow their crops? Well, they can't. And if there aren't any crops, then there's nothing for the truckers to take to the stores. And if gas prices are so high that it costs the truckers too much money to fill up their diesel trucks, then there's certain places they're not going to go. They're not going to go long haul to take anything where they can't get gas to get back home. So a lot of trucks are going to be sitting on the side or parked somewhere in a fleet, not carrying anything to the stores. Why? Because the farmers have been hit so terribly. This is serious stuff, folks. This is serious stuff. And what makes it more serious than the Great Depression is that in the Great Depression, they were not dependent upon modern conveniences to make it. They knew how to grow their food, they knew how to do certain things that kept them alive. They were barely alive, but it kept them alive. These generations now don't know how to do any of that. They would have to be completely dependent upon the government. Uh, they want you to own absolutely nothing and have commanded that you be happy. Okay, so look into that phrase. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Look into that. Who said that? What did they mean by that? And I will see you guys the next time I come on. Take care. God bless. Write me if you have any questions, any suggestions, and maybe it's something we can talk about on the next live stream or the next video. Okay, and I'll see you guys the next time I come on. Take care. All right, here you go.